Joining me now is Joan Bird and Gary Gilman talking about UFOs, because tonight at the Vail Symposium event, they are going to tell you a little bit more about UFOs, extraterrestrials, sightings, and so much more. Thank you both for coming on the show today.
Delighted to be here.
Tell me a little bit about what the two of you do.
You go first.
Well, I'm involved with the Vail Symposium in the Valley on the programming committee and the board, and we started a consciousness series about 4 years ago, and we've covered a wide spectrum of different things on consciousness, near-death studies, and out-of-body experiences, and things on dreaming and meditation. And so now we've brought Joan in to talk about some UFO and ET information and to tie that into consciousness in the talk. And she's a PhD and lives in Montana and has done a lot of research there and wrote an interesting book about activities there.
So Joan, tell me a little bit about your book. And we were just talking about Montana and how there have been a lot of sightings and a lot of interesting things that have happened there.
Yes, and some things that are well known within the UFO community that are considered to be important cases that in general people in Montana don't know about. And so I thought by writing a book covering on a number of different aspects of the phenomenon, maybe people that have not been willing to look at the evidence before might be willing to take a look, because there's a lot of evidence out there.
Yeah. So in your book, you cover these events that happen in Montana. What are some of the events that you might touch on tonight?
Well, the one that really got me thinking about writing the book to begin with was when there were UFOs that were hovering over the nuclear missile launch facilities in 1967, and the UFOs were deactivated. The nuclear missiles were deactivated, apparently by the UFOs. And recently, the man that was the first witness that came out to talk about that, it's the 50th anniversary. March 23rd was the 50th anniversary of that event. He said that actually that the guards went out to where the nuclear missiles themselves were, which were at some distance from the launch control facility. There are 10 in every flight of these missiles, and that guards saw UFOs hovering over the nuclear missiles as well as over the launch control facility when they were deactivated. And this happened at another flight the week before, at Echo Flight. This was Oscar Flight was where it happened when he reported on it.
And there are UFO sightings and extraterrestrial stories all over the world. And I was just telling you both before the interview that in college I had to do a persuasive speech in my public speaking class, and I did it on extraterrestrials and aliens and why they existed. And I had some people come up to me after, and they were like, "That was so scary." I said, "Well, you know, it can be scary or it can be really intriguing." What's your take on it?
Well, you know, some people believe they're all good and some people believe they're all bad. And I think that there is both. But one of the things I wanted to do with my book was try to allay some of the fear, because it's the fear that makes people not want to look at it. They're like, don't want to know about that. That's a little bit too creepy, you know.
Yeah.
So one of the chapters in my book is actually based on this book, UFOs Are With Us, Take My Word, which is it's a very interesting case about a man that started having encounters in 1932 when he was a boy, he and his brother. And eventually they were able to go on board the ships, and the beings that they interacted with look human, could pass as human, but were clearly from somewhere else. And he just said it was the most important experience in his life, that he felt that they were his best friends. He felt most understood by them, really felt that they were incredibly benevolent. So that's something that people need to know about, is that they're not all scary looking and doing uncomfortable things, you know.
Yeah.
So
it's not all alien versus predator out there.
Right.
And I've even heard stories where there could be multiple different kinds of beings out there. Some may be good, some may be bad. So it's really your take on it. I'm just going to take your book here so I can show the viewers so they can pick up a copy themselves. And so tonight at the Vail Public Library, when you do your speaking, is there going to be a little discussion so people can ask questions and such at the end?
Depends on how much time we have.
Right.
There's so much to talk about it, and I often run over.
Yeah, we always leave some time at the end for a Q&A.
Cut me off.
I'm sure you'll have plenty of questions.
More time in the workshop to go into more depth, particularly about people that are having contact. There's so much information coming in, and I'd really like to speak more about that. And I am just now reading this book by Artie Six-Killer Clark, Encounters with Star People, and she has 3 books out. She's a retired professor from Montana State University who is American Indian, and she has interviewed a lot of Indian people that have had these kinds of experiences that are just jaw-dropping amazing. So it's a fascinating subject, but there's also a lot to learn, and I really want to encourage people to start checking it out because it's what's coming. You know, we need to figure out how to integrate being part of a greater community.
Now, I know tomorrow in your workshop you're going to go into even further detail, 9:30 to 12:30, about your book and about these phenomenons.
Yeah, and some recent studies that have come out about people that have had contact experiences and how it's affected them.
Okay, so you can go on to MontanaUFOs.com to get more information about the books and about UFOs and extraterrestrials in general, and then VailSymposium.org to find out more about the event and to get yourself some tickets as well. But coming up next, we're going to take it back over to Ken Hovey. He has another look at First Chair and those on-mountain conditions.